Hello all, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, The Burbs from 1989. It's directed by Joe Dante and stars Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher. Keep an eye out for the two garbage men in the second act of this film because they are Robert Picardo and Dick Miller, two great character actors in their own right, but they also both appear in a later film from director Joe Dante, Gremlins 2: The New Batch. Furthermore, director Joe Dante is quite fond of hiring Dick Miller, who was a favorite of horror producer Roger Corman, as he has put him in almost every movie he's made while Miller was alive. The Burbs is a dark comedy about the suburban experience gone wrong. Tom Hanks and the rest of the men in the neighborhood get suspicious of the newest residents that live in the dilapidated house on the cul-de-sac where they all live, and they go to great lengths to prove the residents are up to something. What? They're not quite sure, but they are sure it's something. This movie is very funny and was made back during that period of Tom Hanks' career when he was still a physical comedian. Big was just the year before this, after all. Interestingly enough, this film was largely improvised because of the 1988 WGA strike, and I gotta say that some of the improvised stuff is much funnier than what may have been written, so maybe the WGA strike was a blessing for this movie. By the way, this review was written during the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike in 2023, and I couldn't be happier for them. And speaking of happy, there is a nice role for Henry Gibson in this film as the Doctor. Of what we're not sure, just the Doctor. Love me some Henry Gibson, and it's always nice to see him in a film like this, or Magnolia, or Inner Space, or the aforementioned Gremlins 2: The New Batch. Come to think of it, Joe Dante might have a soft spot for Henry Gibson as well, as he directed two of those three films as well as this. I'm just connecting these dots now for the first time. Apparently, Tom Hanks was pretty adamant that his character shouldn't be a father because he thought it would keep him from getting the younger-ish roles he was playing around that time. If only he could see the roles he would be playing in the future, I think he would have wanted that change to come as fast as it could. Things like Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Tom Hanks went on to much better things indeed. Also, I'd like to point out that I love his character's nightmare about halfway through the film. Very funny stuff. I'm gonna give The Burbs a B because it's funny, but the ending feels a bit too convenient for my liking. Tomorrow it's the Ryan Reynolds thriller Buried. See y'all then.